Your car is parked on the street, you didn't do anything wrong. And then you get the call. Someone hit your car at nearly 35 miles an hour while it was just sitting there. You go out to look at the damage, and yeah, it's bad. The rear quarter panel is crumpled, and the rear tire is sitting at a wild angle. But the tow truck driver is still able to drive the car up onto the flatbed. So it can't be that bad, right? Wrong. The insurance company comes back and tells you your car is totaled. And not only that, they're telling you the repairs would cost more than $11,000. $11,000. For a car that someone was still able to drive onto a tow truck. How does that number even make sense? That is exactly the question one car owner recently found themselves asking, and the answer is a lot more complicated and a lot more eye-opening than most people realize. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how a car can look drivable and still rack up a 5-figure repair bill. And more importantly, you're going to know what to do if this ever happens to you. Let's set the scene first, because the details here really matter. The car in question is a 2020 Honda Accord. Not an old clunker, not a salvage title vehicle, a relatively recent, well-maintained sedan that any reasonable person would expect to have significant value. It was parked legally on a public street when another vehicle struck it. Not a fender bender, not a slow roll through a parking lot, but a legitimate impact at an estimated 30 to 35 miles per hour. That is highway on-ramp speed. That is a serious collision. The damage concentrated on the driver's side rear. The quarter panel was visibly damaged, and the rear tire was sitting at a severely abnormal angle. Anyone who's seen a car after a real crash knows that a tire at a crazy angle is never a good sign. But here's the thing that made this situation confusing for the owner. The tow truck driver was able to drive the car up onto the flatbed under its own power, or at least roll it up without the wheel completely seizing. So the car wasn't immobile, it wasn't smoking, it wasn't split in half. The insurance company assessed the actual cash value of the vehicle at just over $20,000. They checked comparable 2020 Honda Accords in the local market with similar mileage, and $20,000 was a fair and reasonable number. They also determined the salvage value, meaning what a salvage yard would pay for the wrecked vehicle, at $9,000. Now here's where the math that changes everything comes in. When an insurance company decides whether to total a car, they don't just look at the repair estimate versus the car's value in isolation. They subtract the salvage value from the replacement value, and that becomes the threshold. So in this case, $20,000 minus $9,000 equals $11,000. If repairs cost more than $11,000, the car is totaled, and the insurance company declared that the repairs did in fact exceed that number. The car owner, completely reasonably, couldn't wrap their head around this. Even if the entire rear axle needed to be replaced, how on earth does that cost $11,000? And this is where we really dig into the story, because the answer involves understanding how modern car repair actually works. And it's genuinely shocking if you've never been through it before. Let's start with what's visible. The rear quarter panel needs work. On a 2020 Honda Accord, that panel is not a cheap piece of sheet metal. But more importantly, quarter panels on modern vehicles are not designed to simply be unbolted and replaced. They are often welded directly to the frame and body structure of the car. So to replace a rear quarter panel properly, a body shop isn't just swapping out a part. They're cutting, welding, refinishing, and then ensuring that the structural integrity of the entire vehicle still meets manufacturer standards. That process alone, done correctly, can run anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000 depending on the shop and the extent of the damage. But the panel is the least of the problems here. That tire sitting at a crazy angle? That is almost certainly not just a tire problem. When a rear tire is knocked significantly out of alignment, especially after a high-speed impact, you're looking at damage to suspension components. On a modern sedan like the Accord, the rear suspension system includes the control arms, trailing arms, wheel bearing hub assembly, and the subframe. The subframe is the structural metal frame that the entire rear suspension bolts onto. When a car takes a hard lateral hit on the rear corner, that subframe can bend, crack, or shift. And here's the critical thing. Even if the car can still roll, a bent subframe is not a cosmetic issue. It is a structural safety issue. Insurance companies and body shops are legally and professionally obligated to address it. Replacing or repairing a rear subframe on a Honda Accord is not a simple job. Parts alone can run from several hundred to over $1,000. Labor to properly diagnose, remove, replace, and realign everything adds significantly more. And that's before you get to the alignment itself. After any suspension work, a four-wheel alignment is mandatory, and if the geometry of the vehicle has been disturbed, you may need additional calibration work. Then there's the hidden damage that nobody talks about until the car is actually on the lift. Modern vehicles are filled with sensors, rear parking sensors, cameras, sometimes radar modules for blind spot detection or rear cross-traffic alerts. A 2020 Honda Accord with any of the Honda Sensing package features has cameras and sensors integrated into the rear of the vehicle. When that rear corner takes a 35 mph hit, those sensors and their mounting points can be damaged, shifted, or destroyed. Each one of those components has to be replaced and recalibrated. Calibration alone for a single camera or radar unit can cost several $100s at a dealership. Add it all up: quarter panel work, subframe inspection and repair or replacement, control arms, wheel bearing, hub assembly, brake components that may have been affected, wiring harnesses that run through the rear of the vehicle, sensors, cameras, calibration, paint matching, labor hours, and suddenly $11,000 is not a fantasy number. It's actually a fairly realistic estimate for a proper, complete repair on a modern vehicle. This is the part that most people never know until they're living through it. We think of car repair in terms of the parts we can see: a dented panel, a broken taillight, a flat tire. But modern vehicles are extraordinarily complex systems where one hard impact can cascade damage through structural, mechanical, electronic, and safety components simultaneously. The tow truck driver being able to roll the car onto the flatbed doesn't tell you anything meaningful about the extent of the damage underneath. There's also something worth understanding about how insurance companies handle totals and why this outcome, as frustrating as it feels, is actually often in your best interest as a consumer. When a car is totaled, you receive the actual cash value of the vehicle. You can use that to buy a comparable replacement. If the car had been repaired instead, you might be driving a vehicle with hidden structural damage, misaligned suspension geometry, or sensors that were improperly calibrated, all of which create real safety risks that you might not discover until something goes wrong on the road. The salvage value also matters here in a specific way. If you want to keep the vehicle, maybe you have a mechanic you trust, maybe you want to try to fix it yourself, you can often negotiate to retain the salvage title. The insurance company would pay you the difference between the actual cash value and the salvage value, and you keep the car. In this case, that would mean receiving roughly $11,000 and holding on to the wrecked vehicle. Some people choose this path. Just know that a salvage title significantly reduces the car's future resale value and can make it difficult to insure at full coverage levels. So what are the actual lessons here? And what should you do if you find yourself in this situation? First, always request the full itemized repair estimate from the insurance company. You have the right to see exactly what they're saying needs to be fixed and what each component costs. Review it carefully. If something seems off, you can hire an independent appraiser. Your policy likely gives you this right to evaluate the vehicle separately. Second, understand the total loss formula before you need it. Replacement value minus salvage value equals your threshold. Know that number. It will help you make sense of decisions that otherwise feel arbitrary. Third, if you disagree with the actual cash value the insurance company assigns to your vehicle, push back. Bring comparable listings from your local market. Document the condition of your car before the accident. The ACV is negotiable more often than people realize. Fourth, never assume visible damage is the full picture. Especially with high-speed impacts on modern vehicles, always get an independent assessment of structural integrity. Your safety depends on it. And finally, this is important, make sure you have uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage on your own policy. In a situation like this, if the at-fault driver doesn't have adequate insurance, your own policy could be the only thing standing between you and paying out of pocket for a totaled car. If this has happened to you, if you've been told your car is totaled and the numbers just aren't making sense, the most important thing you can do right now is not panic and not sign anything until you fully understand your rights under your policy. Share this video with someone who drives and has no idea how any of this works, because most people don't until it's too late. And if you want more videos that break down exactly what insurance companies aren't volunteering to tell you, subscribe now. We put out content like this every week, and it might save you thousands of dollars when it matters most.